This lesson continues special right triangles, and we're going to look specifically at 30, 60, 90 triangles. Equilateral triangles, which are found in regular hexagons, we'll talk about that later, form 30, 60, 90 triangles when bisected by its altitudes. In other words, this is an equilateral triangle, which means that each of the angles would be 60 degrees, but if you draw the height or the altitude, it bisects the angle at the top, and so these would both be 30 degrees. It also bisects the base. So say that the length of each side originally had been 10, so each side would be 10, but now this would be 5. Okay, and so here is an example of a 30, 60, 90, because these angles are all going to be 90 degrees here and here. So you have two 30, 60, 90 triangles. Anytime that you're solving for a missing length in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, let's scroll down and see how we are going to label it. Okay, it looks like this here is how you want to label it. You want to put an X across from 30, a 2X across from 90, and X to the square root of 3 across from 60. So here, 30 is here, so here is my X, here's my 2X, and here is my X to the square root of 3. And the one next to it, be careful because 30 is here, so your X would be here, 2X here, and X to the square root of 3. Now, I like to point out here, some formula charts will give you this picture here. Other formula charts might just say 30, 60, 90, and then X, X to the square root of 3, and 2X, and expect you to draw your own picture, but let you see that with the 30-degree angle goes the X, with the 60 is the X to the square root of 3, and with the 90 is the 2X. Okay, let's look at some examples. Okay, here's our first one, and I cannot impress on you enough, please put your X, 2X, and X to the square root of 3 on your picture. It will really help you. So I can see that my picture is telling me that 2X is equal to 14. So if I divide by 2, I can see that X is equal to 7. So that means that MN is 7. And then LM is X to the square root of 3. So simply 7 times the square root of 3. Okay? On these quick checks, it would be good if you would pause the video first and see if you can write the answers yourself. But if this is my 60-degree angle, this is obviously my 30 here. So this is X, 2X, and X to the square root of 3. So my picture is telling me that X is equal to 2 to the square root of 5. So that would make 2X, 2 times 2 to the square root of 5, which simply equals 4 to the square root of 5. So ln is 4 to the square root of 5. Now, X to the square root of 3, you're going to take X, which is 2 to the square root of 5, and multiply it by the square root of 3, which equals 2 to the square root of 15. So ML is 2 to the square root of 15. You can't simplify that any further. Right. Let's look at example 2. In this picture again, put your X, 2X, and X to the square root of 3. Okay, so this is going to be X, this is going to be X to the square root of 3, and this is going to be 2X. So my picture is telling me that X to the square root of 3 is equal to 8. So to solve for X, divide both sides by the square root of 3, and X is equal to 8 divided by the square root of 3. Now we have to rationalize the denominator because we cannot leave the radical there. So we're going to multiply by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3, because that's equal to 1, so we're not changing our answer, but we'll get rid of the radical in the bottom. In the top, we simply get 8 to the square root of 3, and in the bottom, we get 3. So x is equal to 8 to the square root of 3 divided by 3. So that is the length of MN. Okay, so LN is 2 times that. So 2 times 8 to the square root of 3 over 3 is just 16 to the square root of 3 over 3. And that cannot be simplified. So that is your answer for LN or NL. Okay. Let's look at another one. Hopefully, if you will write these down, they become much, much easier, especially if you will label your picture. So here's my 30. So this is x, this is 2x, and this is x to the square root of 3. So my picture is telling me that 2x is equal to 4 times the square root of 3. I want to find x, so I divide both sides by 2. And x is equal to 2 to the square root of 3. So MN is equal to 2 to the square root of 3. Now LM is x, which is this, times the square root of 3. On these, I like for you to work backwards because we know that the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3. So square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3, times 2 is 6. Okay, you can use your calculator to check your answers here, but your answer will be 6 for ML or LM. I don't know how they ask. Okay. All right, so again, we're looking for the sides. This one shouldn't be too difficult. So if we label x, 2x, x to the square root of 3. Well, if x is 4, 2x, our PV is 8, and VT is 4 times the square root of 3. The patterns get much easier to see and use as you go along. Again, try and please pause and do this one yourself before you check it. X, 2x, x to the square root of 3. So my picture is telling me that x to the square root of 3 is equal to 2. So I need to divide both sides by the square root of 3. X is equal to 2 divided by the square root of 3. Multiply the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. 2 square root of 3 over 3 is x. So PT is 2 square root of 3 over 3. And then we need PV, which is 2 times that. So 2 times 2 square root of 3 over 3 is 4 to the square root of 3 over 3. And that is your answer for PV or VP, however they ask. All right. See how many more. Okay, last one. X, 2x, x to the square root of 3. If 2x is equal to 3, x is equal to 3/2 or 1.5. You could write it either way. Be okay. You could say 1.5 here or 3/2, and then VT will be 1.5 to the square root of 3, or 3 times the square root of 3 over 2. Either of those answers would be acceptable. Okay, hope that this is starting to make more sense to you, and we're going to do a review tomorrow. Good luck.